Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about compression. Now I know compression and compressors are not the most exciting of effects compared to something like an overdrive or a big reverb. However, for me, compression is one of my most used, if not the most used effect, because I always have it on, and really just something that I always love playing with. So a little bit of a background before we get into today's pedal. My first guitar pedal ever was a compressor pedal. This one exactly, yeah, the Walrus Audio Deep 6, and I still love it. That's why I still have it to this day. I know some folks gravitate towards an overdrive or something, but I don't know. When I was building my first ever pedal board, I saw the art and I was like, I gotta have that pedal. Little did I know you needed a lot more than a compressor at the time to get some of the overdrive tones that I was looking for. But nonetheless, this was my first pedal. So my whole guitar tone journey started with a compression pedal. Then sometime later, I got the SP compressor by Exotic, I believe it's how it's pronounced, or Exotic, something like that. That one actually I don't have right in front of me because it's still in use. I still use that one on my small board and it's my main compressor there. After that, I ended up getting the Jackson Audio Bloom compressor. So this one essentially replaced my Deep 6 on my main pedal board, and they're a little different. This one's an 1176 style, this one's an optical style, and of course each have their own unique features, but nonetheless, by this point I was on my third compression pedal and I was starting to get a sense of what I like in compression for my tone, what I like in how I'm playing and how it's affecting my playing, and so forth. Today, we're actually going to be taking a look at the newest compressor to the family, the Origin Effects Cali 76, and I'm going to call it the V2. I don't think the V2 is officially in the name, but there is a V1 and they've now come out with this V2. First question you might have is why I replaced, or better yet, got another compression pedal with all these options. Well, while I do love the Bloom, and it has been what I've been using for up until now, I guess, it lacks a certain control that I've kind of wanted and been after, especially in the plugin world. Like whenever I'm working on studio stuff, I'm usually using some sort of plugins where those controls exist that are not on the Jackson Audio Bloom. So it's not necessarily a sound thing. The Deep 6, the SP compressor, the Jackson Audio Bloom all sound fantastic and they each have their strengths. But one of the things that steered me towards the Cali 76 here is the attack and release controls. So on the Bloom, it actually doesn't have an attack and release because you use the different modes on it. So you can take a look at their website for an explanation of all that, but you cannot individually control the attack and the release on this pedal. Whereas here, and we'll dive further into it, you can. So there's a lot more control when it comes to this. The Deep 6, which is also an 1176, right? This is an 1176, this is an 1176, does indeed have an attack control, but no release. So you can say I have half the controls I was looking for. So that was really the main driver of what led me to the Cali 76. I was this close to getting the V1, and it's a bigger size box, and that was right when this was announced. It wasn't that long ago, and they made it smaller. They kept the same great sound, or improved it, depending on your opinion. So let's go ahead and throw this on the board and take a look at it. For signal chain today, we're just going to be going guitar, into the pedal board, into the Cali 76, and then some room reverb from the Big Sky. And so here's what that sounds like. So quickly talking about the features of the pedal, it has most of the standard controls that you would want in a modern day compressor. So it has the dry control, which allows you to blend in your dry signal with your compressed signal. It has the output, which is just volume, straight output out of the pedal. It has the in control, which is the amount of compression that you're going to have. It has the ratio control, so that's like your 2:1, 4:1, 8:1 ratios when it comes to that. And I think actually at the lowest setting it starts at a 4:1, if I remember from when I read the manual. But nonetheless, ratio control. And then it has what I was looking for that I didn't have in the other compressor pedals, the attack control and the release control. And so that is affecting how quick the compressor is acting to your notes in the attack setting, and then how long it's holding onto those notes, and when it lets go in the relief settings. Let's turn it off and just hear my clean tone. All right, so that is with nothing on. And then this is the settings I was actually playing at. So let's just turn it on and hear what that same thing sounds like. So one of the coolest things that I like about this compressor as well, that the Bloom kind of had it with the light pulsating, is that it actually brought a VU meter. I think the original V1, the light would pulse as well, kind of like what the Bloom does. But on this one, you get a full meter, which again, working with different plugins, a meter is kind of showing the gain reduction is kind of what I've come accustomed to. So let's take a look at that. I think compression sometimes can be hard unless you move things to extreme settings to really show over a video, but what it's doing for how the notes feel for me is what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to play around a bit, move some of the knobs so you can hear some of what the controls are doing, and then hopefully get a gist of what this pedal can do. So let's start with let's move everything at noon. Do the good old noon test. No dry signal. I'm gonna keep the dry signal off so that way we just hear compression, compression, compression. Compression all the way off. I guess you get nothing. I never turned it down that low. But it's quite a lot of compression, and I could see it there. It was really, my signal was pretty much distorting as I was playing that. Let's mess with the ratio control. Here it is all the way down. So hopefully you can hear that as I'm increasing that ratio control, it's just knocking down my signal even that much more. And so my dynamics, I'm getting less and less as it's just coming a lot down, versus on this side when it's at like that 4-to-1 or 2-to-1, there's more dynamics. You're able to retain more of that. So that's usually where I've been keeping it, is more on the left-hand side of the dial. But onto the attack control, I'll put everything back at noon. Oh yeah, I felt that right away. As soon as I started playing, it just, the way it quickly, so on the Cali 76, when you move the knob to the right, it's actually a faster attack. Some other compression pedals are the opposite controls. It immediately started grabbing on to my note, as opposed to like when I had it here. So that is just grabbing it right away. For me, I typically do like a faster attack, but not as fast as something over here. So maybe something like that, I think, is what I had it. Again, I kind of just go more by feel. I think I've said this before, but for me, the best compressor is the one that you don't hear so much, but you feel a lot more. So that's usually what I'm going after. I'll set it back at noon, and then let's play with the release control. All the way off. I said off, but I mean slower release. And now let's go for a faster release. And so right away I can hear that as well. Hopefully you can hear from me just playing the same thing over and over, and as I'm changing the setting, is this feels a lot more present because it's letting go of that signal a lot faster, versus when I had it all the way down here, the signal just kind of stayed down the entire time. So listen to that. Compared to And so that's what makes the VU meter so handy, is that you can take a look at your readings as you're playing with the attack and release control. Not that I would recommend setting your compression by visuals only, but it just gives you a nice indication of what's going on with your signal as you're playing along. So some final thoughts here to close out the video. Could you tell the difference between the Cali 76 and the Bloom or the Deep 6, etc. in a mix? Maybe not. I think you'd be hard pressed to have someone listen to a fully mixed track and say, oh, he's using a Deep 6, or oh, he's using a Cali 76, right? So for me, it wasn't necessarily a sound thing, but when it comes to compression, as I said, I use it as an always on, so it's my most used effect because everything downstream in my chain has touched the compression pedal first. And so for me, it was important to just have the controls that I was looking for and be able to tweak the compression to always work for me, as opposed to something like the Bloom, which has presets and the attack and release are chosen for you. So that has its own strengths, but just one of the big motivators that made me want to look at something like this. So fantastic pedal. They're all fantastic pedals, but I think with this, with the Cali 76 V2, my compression journey's probably pretty set for a while, but never say never. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.